Hello and welcome to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney, and you have found the place where we talk about estate planning, elder law, real estate, and business law. So if you have a question, a comment, or a concern about wills, trusts, or probate, if you're wondering how do we beat the high cost of long-term care, or if, I don't know, anything else kind of strikes your fancy, now's the time to give us a call, 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. And we'll get your question, comment, or concern on the air. Hey, guess what? There were elections last week. Did you notice that? And as they say, elections have consequences. Not quite what we were expecting. I'll tell you, it's not what I was expecting. But I guess it just turns out that nowadays everybody lies to pollsters, so you can't count on any of it. Well, so much the better, I guess. In any event, that's what we're dealing with now. And here's the, and I know the big issues on the ballot and everything, but here's something that scares the bejesus out of me, and it's one of those things that's been we've been getting away with it for a long time. Michigan's been getting away with it. And I don't think we're going to get away with it anymore. And here's what I'm talking about. Right now, we got to accept some certain basic facts. Can we accept some basic facts? They like to say that you can have your own opinion, but you can't have your own facts. And the fact of the matter is that at age 65, 70% of folks, and this is according to the government, federal government, so I ain't making this stuff up. Here's what I advise you to do. Go to longtermcare.gov. All right. That's a federal website, .gov, G-O-V. That means I ain't making it up. Now, maybe they're making it up. I don't know. But I don't think so. Anyway, longtermcare.gov. And the question is, how long will people need long-term care? And the answer is, according to them, at age 65, on average, so if you're 65 years old, on average, you'll need 3 years of skilled care. Now, some of that will be at home. Some of that will be in a long-term care facility, right? Could be different things, could be different ways. But the point is, it's 3 years at age 65. Now, as you get older, and there are more government stats that show this, I publish those in my newspaper stuff all the time. You can go look at them, or we can talk about it here. But the fact of the matter is that the older you get, the more likely you are to need skilled care. All right. And 20%, according to longtermcare.gov, according to longtermcare.gov, 20% will need 5 years or more of skilled care. Okay. So you can kid yourself that it ain't going to happen to you. Well, you might die. Okay. That might happen. Sure. And you know what we always say? If you die in your sleep, people say, oh, well, I'm not going to need that long-term care. I'm going to die in my sleep. I say, winner. Well, good for you. Hooray. I hope so. But what if you don't luck out, right? What if you do need the long-term care? Like 70% of people do at age 65, and that percentage just goes up the older you get. All right. I mean, can we accept that as fact? If you want to fight me on that one, okay. But you'd be foolish. Anyway, long story short, long-term care is getting more and more expensive all the time for some very basic reasons. There are more older people now. The baby boomers, remember us? Yeah. I was born in 1957. Okay. I'm that 65-year-old with a 70% shot. That's me. Anyway, the baby boomers are still getting older, right? And they're still hanging around because they took pretty good care of themselves by and large. All right. They're still around. All right. So what does that mean? That means that more people are going to need care. But guess what? The baby boomers didn't have kids the way their parents had kids, which means that there are fewer young people. Which means what? Which means that as the demand for care goes up, the people available to provide the care is going, you guessed it, down. And besides, how many young people do you know who want to spend their lives, doing the things that you have to do with skilled care? Not that many would be my contention. Anyway, so, okay, so demand is going up, supply is going down. And what does that mean to prices? Well, look at the gas pump. When you stop drilling for oil, when you stop refining it, when you stop into gasoline, when you stop doing all that stuff and supply goes down and demand stays the same or goes up, the prices go up. And that's what's happening with long-term care. This is why, for most folks, you don't have a hoot in hell of paying for your long-term care. Most people don't. Most people, about 80% in skilled nursing care, traditional nursing home, right now, are on the Medicaid. Medicaid is the way America pays for long-term care. It's the way Michigan pays for long-term care, the way Massachusetts pays for it, New York, everybody. That's the way you pay for it. Now, first they make you go broke, except for in California where everything is free. I don't even know how they do that, but it's California. But everywhere else, you got to go broke first. You got a cottage, kiss it goodbye. You got money in the bank, see you later. You can keep your house, but you can't paint it, according to a recent denial of appeal that we just, bitter pill to swallow, but there it is. We've got a case now that says you can't paint your house. You can have it. We're not going to take it away from you. You don't have to sell your house, but you can't paint it. Can you put a roof on it? I don't know. Can you pay the taxes on it? I don't know. Can you pay the insurance on it? I don't know that either. Okay. But you can't paint it. No. I'm speechless, which is unusual for me. But there you have it. So this is the direction we're going in. Now, here's a question. If the prices are going up, all right, because demand is going up and supply is going down, all right, what does it look like for you? Well, it looks like Medicaid is what it looks like, because that's what it looks like for practically everybody. Because that 20%, remember 80% on Medicaid right now. And don't call me and say, oh, well, the federal government numbers from 6 years ago say it's 70%. I know. But you talk to any nursing home administrator, nobody argues with you over it's being 80%. Okay. So that's what you get here. So you get the story behind it, the rest of the story. All right. What's really going on now? Do you think, see, here's the thing. If you got a heart bypass, let's say you got a bypass or a new knee or something like that from Medicare. Are you with me on this? Medicare. You got Medicare. Are they going to take your house after you're dead? Oh, you got to pay us back for the heart bypass or the knee or the what? No. The Social Security want your house because they paid you all that Social Security money. No, they don't. Medicaid does. Well, you say, well, wait a second. I paid into Medicare and Social Security, so naturally they wouldn't want my money back. But I didn't pay into Medicaid. Oh, you didn't, huh? You ever look at your paycheck? Where do you think they get the money? Where do you think they get the money from Medicare and Social Security? Same place. You. America's middle class. God bless you. Under attack like never before. Well, anyway, here's the point. Medicaid wants its money back. Medicare doesn't. Social Security doesn't. Medicaid does. Why? Because they can. That's why. Simple as that. Now, here's the deal. In Michigan, we have been the favored few. 7 of us, 7 states, have not come after your house, okay? Unless it goes through probate. It goes through probate. If you're dumb enough to go through probate, okay, with the will and the unfunded trust and all those things, we just added in Kent County here, we just added a new probate judge. With all this probate avoidance stuff, wouldn't you think it'd get easier for the probate court? It doesn't. We needed a judge. We needed one so badly, we got one. How about that? And that judge is going to be busy. They're all busy. Why are they all busy with all this avoid probate strategy? Because they're not avoiding probate. That's why. That's what's going on. And everybody knows it. Everybody in the industry knows it. Insurance agents, bankers, everybody, your accountant, your lawyer. Everybody knows you're going through probate anyway. And are they overworked? Yes, they are. Are they underpaid? In my opinion, yeah. You couldn't get me to do that job. But anyway, not that anyone would ask. Let's be real clear about that. Not that anyone would ask. But thank God there are people, public service minded people who are willing to do it, and willing to step up and put their name on the ballot and become a probate judge. Good for them. Good for them. Seventh circle of hell, in my opinion, but there you go. Takes all kinds to make a world. Thank God we've got people who care enough. I mean, I'm just saying, think about what it takes to be a probate judge. You know, Judge Murkowski there in Kent County, right? Smart guy. Was doing, I forget what I think it was in private practice or something like that. But really smart guy. And I'm not just sucking up. He doesn't like me anyway, but that's okay. Because he puts the time in. He puts the work in. That's fine. You know what I mean? You got people like that. You don't know how fortunate you are to have really good probate judges. Okay. But now we got another one because we're not actually avoiding probate. Oh, and the music means I got to get out of here. So stick around. We'll talk to you more about the impending doom. And it is impending. You've been listening to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm still David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. I'm about to tell you the impending doom. What's so awful? Well, anyway, it's still a sunshiny day, right? It's a good day in the neighborhood. Nothing so awful, but here's what's going on. People need long-term care. People can't afford long-term care. Unlike the other things you get from the government, older people get from the government, like Social Security and Medicare. Social Security and Medicare, right? Those are all supported by your tax dollars. Now, they tax you in a way that they think, oh, it's not really taxes or something like this. Don't believe the hype. It's taxes. You pay taxes in, you get services out. Wonderful. Okay. Except when it comes to Medicaid. See, Social Security is income, right? Medicare is healthcare, acute care. You need a bypass, you need a knee or something like that. Okay, that's what the Medicare is for. But when you need skilled care, long-term care, which you'll need 3 years on average, 5 years for 20% of the winners, right? 5 years. Anyway, the way you pay for that after you've sold a cottage, sold a second car, emptied your savings, cashed in your 401k, the way that gets paid for is Medicaid. But they're not done yet because they let you, as everybody knows, one of those things everybody knows, they let you keep the house, they let you keep the car. Except that when it goes through probate, they're coming after it. And everyone's like, ooh, but wait a second. Probate is a thing of the past because everybody's so smart these days with ladybird deeds and trust and all the rest of this happy stuff. We're not going to go through probate. And I say, well, then you explain to me why they're adding new probate judges. And it ain't because the other ones are lazy. Okay. They are working and they're working hard and, very talented people, they are. That's just the reality of it. And yet they need more help. Why do they need more help? Because more people go into probate than ever. And you say, ooh, well, how's that happen? Well, and my point is that right now in Michigan, your kids will get your house if you don't go through probate after receiving help with long-term care. So let's put this all together. I know this is difficult. I know it's early in the morning, but let's try it anyway. So if the vast majority of people are going to need skilled care, and the vast majority of those people, if they go into a nursing home, are going to use Medicaid, and if Medicaid comes after your stuff in probate, which you're not avoiding because the lawyer didn't follow through, there's a million reasons for it. And in fact, you're not avoiding it so much that they're actually adding a new judge in Kent County and, for all I know, other places as well. And they're all overworked. I mean, that's a fact. Okay. So you're not avoiding probate, and you are going to need Medicaid, and they're going to take the house that they left you. Okay. Now, if you avoid probate, if you do manage to avoid probate, you smart person, if you did avoid probate, now they're not coming after the house because why? Because it didn't go through probate. That's in Michigan and Pennsylvania and Florida, Texas, South Carolina, I think it is, a couple other states. Okay. Few states. Most states do what Minnesota does. What Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, right? Tennessee, Mass, all the New England states, New York, okay? All the rest of these states, Iowa, slap a Medicaid mortgage on your house when you apply for Medicaid. Are you with me on this? See, if you need a bypass, they don't put a mortgage on your house saying, oh, when you die, then we want the $300,000 it costs for the bypass. They don't say that, or $200,000 or $100,000 or 50 cents. I don't care what it is. They don't come after it. They do with long-term care, though. Oh boy, do they! If you go through probate. But in most states, they don't wait till you go through probate. They come after it right away. Okay. Michigan has tried to change this in 2012, after the election, lame duck session. They tried to pass a law that would say, we're putting a mortgage on your house as soon as you apply for the Medicaid. Bang. All right. They call this enhanced estate recovery. Enhanced estate recovery. Now, do you think the government gets more money if they wait and hope you go through probate, or if they slap a Medicaid mortgage on your house when you first apply? Which way do you think the government gets more money? Okay, this is not rocket science. This is just basic logic, thinking about it a little bit. Have another swig of coffee. It'll help you. Okay? Obviously, if they put... Is this ridiculous, right? Is this not logical? Not obvious that if they put the mortgage on first, instead of waiting, they're going to get more? Okay? That's the way it goes. That's the way it is. And Michigan doesn't have it. You know why Michigan doesn't have it? Because until last Tuesday, until recently, put it that way, because maybe you're listening to this a year from now, who knows, when it actually comes to pass. Because Michigan has had divided government. We had Republicans in charge of one thing, government in charge of the other. They all hate each other. And thank God they hate each other enough so they don't pass this nonsense. Well, guess what? The fairy tale is over. And there's no happily ever after. What's happening now is we've got unified government. And you say, there's some people really happy about that. Oh, boy, now we're going to be able to get everything we wanted. Right? Okay, great. I'm happy for the people who are happy. Happiness is a good thing. Yeah, okay, I guess. But the last roadblock to the government coming after your house or whatever else you've managed to protect is gone. All right, you thought these ladybird deeds were so fabulous. See ya. Goodbye. You're going to be like the other 43 states where they're worthless because it doesn't matter because they're going to put a lien on the house first. Are you with me on this? This whole industry that's all about ladybird. You've heard it here. If you've been paying attention, I've been telling you, these ladybird deeds are a temporary fix. Temporary. Right? Until the unforeseen happens and it, you're just glooming and dooming it. You're just gloom and dooming it. Well, maybe I am gloom. Maybe I'm a gloomy Gus today. I don't know. But let's see. I would bet you that the state is all of a sudden going to decide that it needs more Medicaid money. You think that's going to happen? It's already happening. They're also going to decide that it ain't fair for you to keep your house. And all you have to do is one of these little ladybird deeds. It's so easy. Really? Think so, huh? How long do you think that's going to last? I'm betting it ain't going to last very long. Well, I'll wait and see. I hope to God it does. That people are not the victims of their folly. What is the folly? Well, I'll tell you in the next segment what you can do about it and how we in the states where they're already coming after the house. This will not be a surprise to anybody, I don't think. But there is a way to avoid estate recovery. There's a way to do it, but you got to plan ahead. You can't wait till the last minute. You can't download the form. I got to think, what downloadable forms do I need, to fix the whole world? It's like, it doesn't work like that. Has it ever worked like that? Well, it's been possible to do these downloadable ladybird deeds and kid yourself that you actually got something done. But now that we've got unified government, I think we're in for it. That's what I think. Please God, I'm wrong. You've been listening to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Give us a call, why don't you? 616-774-2424. That's area code 616-774-2424. We'll get your question, comment, or concern on the air. You can also drop me an email, david@davidcarrierlaw.com. Love to get the emails. Love it, love it, love it. Or you can go to the website, davidcarrierlaw.com. We're not original here. Recycling the same thing. davidcarrierlaw.com. And on davidcarrierlaw.com, you can leave us a message or, whatever else you want. Fan mail from some flounder, that'd be fine. Yeah, you can do that. So interrupt me anytime you like. We do, of course, talk about estate planning, elder law, real estate, and business law. Now, we just had an election here in Michigan, lovely Michigan, and we have now unified government, which means that we've got one party running the whole show. Okay? Why is that significant to you? Well, there's a million reasons it's significant to you, right? But here's the thing. Here's the thing that affects the elder law aspect of it. A couple of basic facts. Number one, if you need long-term, if you're getting older, the chances are extremely good that you will need skilled care. Okay. Sometimes that's at home. Sometimes it's assisted living. Sometimes it's skilled nursing. Right? And the expenses for all this stuff is going through the roof because you can't find anybody who wants to do it. And there are a lot more older people and a lot fewer people who won't feel like doing it anyway. Are you with me on this? Okay. Supply is going down. Demand is going up. Prices also going up. No news to anybody who's shopped assisted living, skilled nursing, or at-home care. No surprise to anybody. Okay. Now, how does if it's now $12,000 to $15,000 a month at a skilled nursing facility, which it is, then how do we pay for it? And the answer is Medicaid. Right? After you go broke, you got to go broke first. Now, understand that this is one of the 3 government programs that support older folks, and it's the only one where you got to go broke. You don't have to go broke for Social Security. You get that anyway. You don't have to go broke for Medicare. You get that anyway. Right? You do have to go broke for Medicaid. And, by the way, Medicaid wants its money back if you've got anything. Now, in most states, what that means is when you apply for the Medicaid, they put a Medicaid mortgage on your house, kind of like a reverse mortgage almost. You might think of it that way. That's a way to think about it. It's not a reverse mortgage, but it's kind of like that. And, every Depends, every toothbrush, everything you get at long-term care facility, it gets charged against the house. And so if it goes through probate, now they're coming after the house. Okay. But in most other states, they do this Medicaid mortgage so that they do it now so that when you die, they for sure get their money. What's different in Michigan is in 6 other states is they wait for you to go through probate. Now, we've been fighting this battle for as long as I've been doing this stuff. All right. They've been saying, oh, we're going to do the Medicaid mortgage thing. And they got really close in 2012. They went through all the legislative frou-frou, hearings, experts, everything. They wrote the law. They codified the law. They gave it numbers, right? And it didn't pass. They didn't even put it up for a vote because there was, backdoor dealing, the lame duck after the 2012 election. The point is, it's still around. And the question is, if the government likes money, does the government like money? I wonder. Gee, if I was a politician, would I like to have more money or less money? Well, of course, if I was a politician and I was working in the government or legislator or whatever, I would be humbled by the fact that people entrusted me with so much money already that there's no way I would ask for more. I wouldn't want any more money. Oh, no, no, no. That would not happen. Anybody know any politicians like that? I mean, except at election time. So anyway, the concern is that there's never enough money. They're insatiable. meaning they cannot be satisfied. That's what insatiable means. It pays to increase your word power. Anyway, point being, we've got unified government now, right? So we've got people who don't like institutionally hate each other, and you don't have a party that, at least by what it says, is opposed to more government spending. In fact, you've got somebody who thinks that it's fair and equitable, that if you got something, you should give it up because it was only by luck that you got it in the first place. It wasn't hard work. It wasn't saving. It wasn't any of that stuff. It was luck. And how do you know that that's what they think? Look at what they're doing with the student loans. All right. If you pay off your student loan, do you get the money back? You do not. If you did not pay off your student loans, now you don't have to pay it off. What? How does that make any sense? Well, it doesn't matter. That's the deal. Okay. And it's the same thing with long-term care. If you manage to get rid of your money, if you lived on a credit card, if you went bankrupt 3 times, okay, Medicaid doesn't come after you. They say, okay, yeah, you prove it. You got to prove that you're broke. You got to do that. But then it's like, okay, here, free for you. No problem. What if you saved? What if you built? What if you did all the supposedly good things? Well, now we're coming after your leftovers, right? First of all, you got to spend it all. Oh, and by the way, you can keep your house and a car. You can't paint your house, which still drives me around the bend. But okay, you can't paint it anymore, but you can keep it. Like, who the hell wants it if you can't paint it? But anyway, fine. You can keep your house and a car. But if it goes through probate, if the house goes through probate, which means the car is also going to go through probate, right? If that happens, we want our money back. They don't do that with Social Security or Medicare, but they do it with Medicaid. All right. So this is how you're going to lose. Now, what right now, and the way it's been, which is why so many thousands of people have done these ladybird deeds, these transfer on death deeds, enhanced life estate deeds. Oh, these are so wonderful. This is what you've been sold. It's a bill of goods, because now that we have unified government, now that we have politicians who want more money, okay, how are they going to get more money? Passing taxes? Ooh, that's unpopular. Taking people's houses away when you don't know who those people are. And hey, besides, they got long-term care anyway. Plus, it was only luck that they had a house. Plus. Why can't we do that? And plus, all the other states are doing it. Why can't we do it too? All right. That's the rationale going to be. And the law's already written. The law's already ready to go. All I have to do is decide to pass it. And then the next thing you know, bang, you're going to get Medicaid mortgages. Hurrah. Won't that be fun? All right. That's what is happening now, because you don't have divided government anymore. You have unified government. And so now all kinds of wonderful things are going to be possible. That's right. It's a brave new world. It's going to be super duper, because now that everybody gets along, we don't have all those nasty people who say maybe you shouldn't spend quite so much money, and all those killjoys, all those hard-hearted bad people. We swept them out. Yay. Now we're all together, marching forward shoulder to shoulder into the light of a brand new day, which is probably going to include putting a Medicaid mortgage on your house. Sorry about that, sucker. You've been listening to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. And yes, now's the time. This is the place where you give us a call, 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. Today we're talking about consequences. Did you know that? Actions have consequences. Elections have consequences. And this is one of those consequences I admittedly, with my crystal ball, did not foresee. I should have used the magic 8 ball, I guess. Signs say no. Anyway, estate recovery, enhanced estate recovery. This is where they put the Medicaid mortgage on your house, is a reality in most states. In Michigan, they say ignorance is bliss. Well, we've been pretty blissful here because whether it was Engler You remember that guy, John Engler? He was the governor. He basically thumbed his nose at Bill Clinton and said, "I ain't doing it." And then we've had a series of governors who've taken the same tack, or we've had like Granholm, Jennifer Granholm. You remember her, right? The Canadian who was our governor for a while, and who's now some official energy, I think, in Washington. Pretty good deal for a Canadian. Anyway, Jennifer said, "Hey, I want to pass that thing," and Republicans stopped it. Okay, that was back in 2012. Well, now it's the law. It is not the law yet, but it has been written. The legislative work has been done, and it's just going to take a majority vote. And now they're coming after your house. And you say, "Well, I don't care. I don't have a house." I say, "Well, okay. Maybe if you had a house, you'd care." That's what's happening. Excuse me. That's what I think is going to happen. Why? Because, Engler said no just because he said no to Bill Clinton, and, he didn't want to do it. And Granholm tried to get it through and couldn't because she had a, Republican Senate and all that. But now it's all the same. We're all singing from the hymnal. And so now we can get the state recovery, like Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, not Florida. We can be as cool as Massachusetts. Now we can put liens on people's houses. Hurrah. So what's the answer? Well, the answer is, in my opinion, because we saw the handwriting on the wall back in the day, is the life plan trust that we've been doing. It's what's called a Medicaid divestment trust. And when you put your house in the trust, 5 years later, you can't wait. It's these ladybird deeds. All you had to do was just avoid probate and you'd be fine. And still they were snapping up millions of dollars of houses a year anyway, even when it was easy. Well, now it's not easy anymore. And we've got literally, 20,000, I don't know, a lot, 15,000, something like that, of these trusts out there. And this is how you protect your house, not only from long-term care, right, but also from the Medicaid mortgage. Are you with me on this? See, by doing it this way, not with the ladybird deed. The ladybird deed ain't going to work anymore, because one of the things that says on the ladybird deed is if you want to put a mortgage on the property, you can do so. You're in complete control. That's the ladybird deed. Okay. Well, if you can put a lien on it, so can the government. And now there goes the house. Oh, you want to leave the house to the kids. Oh, you move from the house to the cottage. So sell the house, pay that all money to the nursing home, but at least we got the cottage. No, you don't. Not anymore. Excuse me. I'm getting ahead of myself. But I mean, isn't it obvious? I mean, if I've got everybody who agrees that you people with houses or cottages or whatever else it is you got, well, you don't deserve it. You were lucky. You won life's lottery. Have you ever heard of that? Yeah. You won life's lottery. It's not because you worked hard. It's not because you saved. Not because you have good habits. Right? It's not because you did anything differently. You just got lucky. Well, listen, if you deserve something, it's pretty hard to take it away from you, at least, and look at yourself in the mirror. Okay, you have to have good reasons for taking it away from you. If you were just, and that's one theory, right? It's your money, and if the government wants some of it, it better have a damn good reason for taking it, right? That's a political philosophy, and there is a political party that seems dedicated more or less, sometimes less than more, I agree, but more or less dedicated to that idea. They don't start off assuming it's their money. They start off assuming that you deserve it because you actually did something to get it. There's another party. See if and if you make these associations, that ain't my fault. Don't blame me. There's another party who thinks it's all about luck. It's about life's lottery. And if you don't have everything you want, it's somebody else's fault. And government's job of government is to rearrange the luck, because, just because somebody has something, they don't deserve it. They got lucky. And if they got lucky, well, that's not fair, is it? Come on. Basic fairness says that luck should be equally distributed. And if you were lucky and got a house and a cottage because it just fell out of the sky after all that overtime and saving and not going on vacation and blah, 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 right? If you got lucky like that, well, why shouldn't government readjust the luck? Well, there it is. Okay. So if you're in the business of readjusting luck, how wrong is it? How just unfair is it? Just because you had parents who worked doesn't mean you maybe we'll say that your parents deserved it because they worked, but you certainly didn't. You just inherited the damn thing. Boy, you were lucky in your parents, weren't you? There's some more luck there. Some more luck that needs readjusting. Let's readjust that luck also. Okay. We voted for it. What was that? H.L. Mencken. I put that in the newspaper, the quote from H.L. Mencken in the newspaper that democracy is the theory that the common people know what they want and deserve to get it. That's what democracy is. The common people know what they want and deserve to get it. Good and hard. It's going to be coming around, dudes and ladies. It is going to be, and maybe not, right? Maybe these people don't want the money. Maybe the example of the other states where they're raking in the dough is they won't be interested in it. They'll say, oh no, we would never, we think that it's important that, cottages stay in families. We think that's important. Okay, maybe they will. Who the hell believes that? But anyway, maybe it could happen. I don't want to be a gloomy Gus, I don't want to be a sunny Sam. So anyway, the point is that if it does happen, if Michigan goes the way of most other states, there are still things you can do, but you have to do them. You have to do the Medicaid divestment trust. You have to plan ahead. You have to look at this thing cold-eyed, not what you wish happened, but what actually happened and what's likely to happen. That's my suggestion. And when you do that, things tend to work out better. Not always. There's no promises on this side of the Great Divide. But there are things you can do. And the fact that people don't do them, or they go for the easy thing. Like I said, I got an email. It's about, well, what forms can I download to make my family happy? It's basically the thing. It's like, okay, there are no forms like that. That's not even how this works. Okay. But there are things that can be done. As I say, there are always things that can be done to make things more positive, to make things better. You can make the world a better place. You just have to do it. And it's not going to be as easy as it used to be. That's my point. When you have, unified government, as we do, one party rule, well, that party tends to get what it wants. You voted for it. And now we're going to get it good and hard. You've been listening to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Hello, and welcome to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney, and you have found the place where we talk about estate planning, elder law, real estate, and business law. So give us a call, why don't you? 616-774-2424. That's 616-774-2424. We get a little gloom and doomy around here, especially when you get promised something and you're like, oh boy, that'll be great, and then all of a sudden it's like, instead of you getting that thing you wanted, you're getting something you don't want. Here, clean up the mess. Thanks a lot, I guess. Kind of feeling that way, but I'm battling back, no problem. This was another camp out weekend. As you know, usually when we're camping with the Boy Scouts, the radio show comes to you live from a tent or a McDonald's parking lot or something like that, where I can pick up the Wi-Fi. But this time we were camping real close to home. So I rolled out of the rack and, despite the snow flurries, and here I am. But I got to go back and break camp. So I'm sorry, folks. I know how you like me to hang around for signatures after the show, but I'm not going to be able to do that today. I'm going to have to leave directly and go back and pack up my old kit bag. Anyway, if you want your faith restored a little bit, or maybe even a lot of it, hang out with some Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts too. Or, well, they're not really Boy Scouts, but now they're Scouts of America or America Scouts or something like that. BSA America, I think is what they're calling it now. Whatever it is, it's really good to hang out with those guys and get your faith renewed. It certainly renews mine. Just to see those guys hanging out and helping each other get the rank and helping with the merit badges. They laid out a orienteering course yesterday, and all kinds of other good stuff. It's it's still happening. And I'm not saying they didn't cluster around the campfire. That was obviously that's a major getting to have and it was a local guy. I don't have permission to use his name, but local guy lets the troop camp there usually in November, usually this month. And he's got more wood than, he and his wife, his married couple. And actually, she's the one who was involved in the Boy Scouts. He wasn't. But anyway, long story short, you get a roaring bonfire, keep it going all night, that kind of thing. A lot of fun. And so as much as I may be gloomy, Gus, about the political landscape and et cetera, hey, there's still wonderful things happening out there. Chin up, put a smile on your face, a bounce in your step, and how bad can it be? All right, let's get to, if you want to give me a call, 616-774-2424. That's the number to call, of course, 616-774-24. Now that goes to the studio. So if you call it Monday morning, it ain't going to work. All right. If you want to call Monday morning, then you have to go to the website, davidcarrierlaw.com. Okay? Or drop me an email, david@davidcarrierlaw.com. And we'll get right back to you. So, but we got a kind of a good email here, it seems to me. So my in-laws own several properties and rent one out to my BIL, brother-in-law, I'm guessing that means. My MIL, mother-in-law, has been diagnosed. You got to know these technical terms. It's important to know the BIL and what anyway. With terminal cancer, and my FIL, my father-in-law, is mentally deteriorating from panic attacks and debilitating anxiety. Well, after the elections, who can blame him? Anyway, my FIL recently asked my partner to take over the finances because my FIL can no longer handle the mental and physical strain due to his and my MIL's disabilities. My husband was then told, see, why did they say partner and then go with husband? I mean, I had all kinds of other imaginings. Anyway, my husband was then told and shown financial documents indicating that my BIL hasn't paid rent in over 6 months and claims he needs the money for, quote, life. BIL even hinted he's just waiting for parents to die and he has no intention of paying back the embezzled funds. It's not so clear that he embezzled. I mean, he just didn't pay the rent, right? I mean, that's not embezzlement. Embezzlement is when you have, you occupy a position of trust and you violate that trust in the taking and carrying away of personal property belonging to another with the intent to permanently deprive. That's your embezzlement right there. If you didn't mean to permanently deprive, then it's just conversion. Probably at this point, it's just conversion based on what I'm hearing. Anyway, my BIL, get this, they rent them a house, right? So what does the BIL do? Not only does he not pay rent, he rents out 2 rooms, which covers the full rent the FIL charges and also covers the bills incurred by the household, such as utility and property taxes. So this guy is renting a house out from his folks, right? Supposedly renting. He turns around, he re-rents it. And the money that he makes covers all his expenses. Nice work if you can get it, right? Plus, internet games are free and, cannabis delivers. So I guess that's all wonderful. My BIL is fully aware of how much anxiety and anguish he causes my FIL by not paying rent and dismisses it. Well, I mean, the start off of this was in-laws own several properties. I mean, it's their kid. I mean, do they really care that much? I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe this is where the anxiety and panic attacks are coming from. Maybe it's dementia. Who knows? But in any event, what you do in a case like this, if you have control, if you have the power of attorney, if you have the guardianship, the conservatorship, what you do in a case like this is evict the bum. He's a mooch. You know where mooch comes from? It's a French word called moucher. It means fly. Like a house fly. Those garbage fly. That's what brother is. He's a mooch. He's mooching off mom and dad. Should he mooch off mom and dad? I don't know. There's a lot of people doing it. Let's assume that he should not. But is that financial abuse of the elderly? Probably not. I mean, maybe, could be, but I think probably not, because the financial abuse of the elderly thing, that's that's criminal. And you really want to have Sonny Boy prosecuted under that. Goes to jail, stuff like it's a felony, right? It's bad news. And, $10,000 in rent, he's just not paying. Well, we had this thing called COVID, and there was this thing called eviction moratorium, where if you were a landlord, you could not evict anybody. And knowing that, there were people who just decided to take a holiday from paying rent because they couldn't get evicted. Well, if we're going to give away student loan money, we might as well give away rent money too, I guess. I mean, maybe that was the theory. Who knows? But in any event, that's what's going on here. Evict him. Just give him a notice to quit and throw the bum out, along with his unauthorized subtenants, because their right to occupy the property is no greater than his. And if he doesn't have a lease or anything, and I guarantee you he does not, which is going to be another thing that proves that would suggest that a prosecution for financial elder abuse is going to be a difficult one. Just evict him, whack him with a 30-day notice to a 30-day notice termination of tenancy, and broom him. But you know what the problem is here? BIL should be broomed, but MIL and FIL aren't going to go for it, because they, if not paying the rent is causing anxiety and distress and everything else, try evicting him. You want to see the, how in cartoons when it gets really hot, the thermometer explodes. The red goes up to the top, then boom. Well, that's what's going to happen with anxiety on mom and dad's part when Sonny Boy comes to him on bended knee with tears in his eyes. Oh, wicked sister-in-law is evicting me, or my own brother is throwing me out. You can imagine it. So, no, it's probably not financial. I mean, it should be, but it's not, just not paying the rent. I mean, you have to prove a lot more than what we got here in order to prove that financial abuse. So I don't think you're going to go anywhere with it myself. But evict them. You know what I mean? Because here's the other thing. If mom and dad aren't willing to evict him, what do you think? Why would you think they would testify against him in a criminal proceeding? Not going to happen. But what you can do, kind of short of evicting or actually prosecuting, is you could call Adult Protective Services. These are the folks who defend the elderly against claims of, against financial elder abuse and scams and all kinds of things, like neglect, financial and physical abuse, neglect, that kind of stuff. That's Adult Protective Services, and they're in the phone book, if we still have phone books. But anyway, that's where you should go, and maybe a call from a Adult Protective Service investigator would be the sort of thing that would make brothers straighten up and fly right. Could be, but let's not bet the egg money on that one. Probably the best bet here would be to evict him. And if mom and dad want to write him out, I mean, it sounds like there's significant dollars here. They have several properties. Well, I don't know if they're all single wides on deserted lots or whatever. Who knows what several properties means, but probably brother is not unreasonably counting on the inheritance to wipe the slate clean, and then he has a new lease on mooching life, right? So, but it's mom and dad's going to have to do something about it, and if they're already ridden with anxiety attacks and panic attacks and stuff like this, the chances of them actually following through, slim to none. Okay, they may say to daughter-in-law, to DIL, they may say, "Oh yeah, we agree, Sonny Boy's terrible, and we really need to do something about that." But when it comes to the hard point of actually doing something, maybe this time, but I doubt it. I think best you can do is give APS a call. They'll Protective Services. Let them call on him and find out do a little investigation, open a file, so they know, he knows, brother-in-law knows, that somebody's taking a look at it. And I think that's the best you're going to be able to do here. You've been listening to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Okay, welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, not Sly Stone, unfortunately for you. But anyway, welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney, and you have found the place where we talk about estate planning, elder law, real estate, and business law. So give us a call, why don't you? 774-2424, and we'll get your question, comment, or concern on the air, because that's what we do around here. Now, we just knocked that one out. We're talking a little bit earlier about talking the last hour. Just real briefly, one of the concerns that we have now is that we're going to go to what's called enhanced estate recovery. There's no guarantee. I didn't mean to suggest, I did kind of mean to suggest, but that this is inevitable. It might not happen, but who believes it? If you think that politicians need more money and now that there's no roadblocks that they're not going to do it, well, they might not do it, but who believes that? Let's see what else we got here. Let's see. Go back to our list of emails. See if we got a good one. I like that financial abuse of the elderly. You gotta appreciate that one. That was a good one. What else we got? We'll just take one. Reach into the sack and take one out. Brother has financial power of attorney. Mother is not clear in mind. He's never been around to help until he took over her house, plus drained her accounts. Oh my God. I'm not kidding. This was just a random selection. He and myself are tenants in common, with mom having living rights. Can he sell the house? My sister in nursing home as well. Does my sister get any money if he sells the house? No. Does rent go directly to him since POA financial? Well, it goes to mom. Mom going on Medicaid soon. He isolated mom from family members. Church didn't know my mom had a son. Ministry, whatever that means. He's evil. Trying to protect my sister who's on Medicaid, plus myself, as I've taken care of mom 22 years since I got out of the military. Okay, so here's the deal. Unfortunately, perhaps, mom trusted evil son with the financial power of attorney. Mom also deeded the house. This is what I'm reading. Mom deeded the house. We don't know when. Deeded the house to the two boys. I'm guessing this brother, right? Sounds like he's anyway, assuming he's a guy. Anyways, so mom deeded it to the two brothers. We've got a sister on Medicaid, and now mom's going to be on Medicaid because pretty soon she'll be broke. It sounds like, and this would be appropriate because mom had a life estate, it sounds like the brothers have been paying rent to live in the house. Life estate means that mom has exclusive, well, not necessarily exclusive, but she has the right to occupy the property by herself during her lifetime. Now, you cannot, this sort of thing, this sort of arrangement is so common. It's what you call blunt force planning, okay? It's a bad idea. And here's why it's a bad idea. Because if brother decided to move people into every other room in the house, right? Let's assume mom reserved a non-exclusive life estate for herself, all right? I deeded to Timmy and Tommy, and I reserve a life estate, okay? But, or a 1/3 life estate or something like that, so that Timmy and Tommy, who've been living in the house for 22 years, get to stay living in the house. But they're paying rents, which would suggest that mom kept the entire life estate for herself. That's what the suggestion would be. But in any event, if you terminate mom's life estate, you got to pay mom the money, right? The value in the life estate. And fortunately, the state of Michigan makes this very easy to do because there's a table in the back of the book, one of the Bridges eligibility manuals, and there's a whole bunch of them. But in the back of one of them is a table that says, if you're this old and you have a life estate and the value of the house is so much, right? You multiply the value of the house times this life estate factor, and that's how much money you have to be paid. and it's around 40% into your 80s. It's a big chunk. It's not a little bit. You might think, oh, by the time mom's 80, it'll be 1 or 2%. No, it's more like 40%. So what you don't want to do is sell the house. You absolutely don't want to sell the house, because if you sell the house, then you got to give 40% of it or so, depending on mom's age. You got to give it to mom. And you say, well, what's the matter with that? I say, well, you just told me mom's going on the Medicaid. So unless you just want to give it to Medicaid, which I suppose, if you want to, it's a big world. Big world, lots of people in it. They decide all kinds of things that make no sense to me. And so, okay, this could be one of them. Yeah, just give away I was in a conversation. I just got to tell you, we're in around the campfire yesterday, and somebody's talking about a friend of his who's, mom's in the nursing home, so his friend is selling the house. And you know what I did? Nothing. It is so frustrating, because I've gone through, whenever you hear something like that, which is just absurd, there's no way you should ever do that. It's absurd is the best word. It makes no sense. If you had any idea how any of this stuff worked, there's no way you would do that. And usually, I play the role of the Good Samaritan, you see, here's the thing. Are you being a Good Samaritan? Are you saying, hey, you don't have to lose the house. All you have to do is right? Or are you just being a nosy Parker? Are you just like butting into somebody's thing and, oh, well, you do that for a living, so therefore that's the only thing that's going, it's a dilemma. It's a dilemma for me, because you see what's going on. You think, that's terrible. We could stop that. But what? But then, is that a good idea to stop it? Is it a bad idea to stop it? Should you get involved? I'll tell you, this time I did not. I was too comfortable enjoying the roaring campfire and 30-degree weather, camping out. But it's a tough deal. And frankly, if you've got any comment on that, if you're telling a story about a friend selling the house, and I just happen to be overhearing this, or you're telling me the story, and I chime in and say, well, here's what your friend really should do. Is it like, oh, shut up, you stuffed shirt. I don't want to hear from you. Or is it really? Wow, that's fascinating. Yeah, I would really appreciate some feedback on that, because God knows I've been, more often open my mouth and shut it. Maybe I should just shut it. Maybe I did it the other day. I feel guilty about it, to tell you the truth. I feel like maybe I should have said something, but I'm interested. What say you? Give us a call, 616-774-2424. We'll get your question, comment, or concern on the air. Welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. We're talking right now about we've got mom's in the nursing home. She's about to be broke. We've got a deed. Mom has apparently deeded out the property to the boys, to the sons. There's a sister who's on the Medicaid already, and the brother-in-law, the brother, has drained mom's accounts. Now, how exactly he drained them? Was he paying the nursing home? Did he just steal the money? Who knows? Let's assume that he drained the accounts by spending the money on the nursing home. That way, no problem. And then it says, can he sell the house? Well, the answer is no. He can't sell the whole house. Mom owns a life estate, and you're a tenant in common. That's what it says here. He and myself are tenants in common, with mom having living rights. So I assume that you have the right to live in the house. Mom has the right to live in the house, but you and your brother own what we call the remainder interest. Incidentally, if you have a question about this, give us a call, 616-774-2424. That's area code 616-774-2424. Theoretically, you can sell an interest as a tenant in common, theoretically, but no one's going to buy it. You see, we've been down this road before. In a situation like this, buying a interest as tenant in common is buying a lawsuit, because here's what's going to happen. That's why it's so dumb to do this, but everyone does it. Not everyone, but a lot of people do it. And people who should know better. I mean, like attorneys put people into these things. Oh, this will be a great answer. And I'm like, anyway. So mom deeded the house to you and your brother. Now mom is gone. Mom has died, right? Her life estate dies with her. So the only people with interest in the house are the two brothers, one who's been caring for mom for the last 22 years since he got out of the military, and the other one who just kind of showed up to get the power of attorney. Okay. Now you want to sell the house, or you don't want to sell the house. You want to stay living in the house. Guess what? You can. You don't have to sell it just because brother wants to sell it. And if you did want to sell it, you couldn't just sell it because you wanted to sell it. Brother would have to go along. You have to go along with each other, unless you can't get along, which it kind of sounds like. But if you can't get along, then you can go to your friendly neighborhood probate court and do what's called an action for partition. Partition, I think you might be able to do in circuit court too, but I've only done it in probate. Anyway, long story short, I just saw somebody was on the line, except that was a message from last week. Never mind. So you and brother both own it. If you can't get along, if you can't use the property together, then you can go to the court, circuit or probate, and petition the court, ask the court to split the property. The way that works nowadays, see, back in the day when families would put, 5 kids on the deed to the farm, you did a partition action so that they each got a chunk of the farm, but it was equal in value. So there was a lot of evaluating, well, who got the swamp land? If you get the swamp land, you get 10 acres of arable ground, and the other guy, because they didn't have to deal with the swamp land, they got 8 acres. And, there was a lot of that going on, back in the day. Well, that's back in the day. Nowadays, the remedy is just sell it and divide the proceeds, divide up the money. And that's what would happen if these two cannot get along. And of course, it's a lawsuit. It's expensive. It's a hassle. Maybe you win, maybe you lose. Who knows? Plus, you get your, now you're suing your brother. Who wants to who wants to go there? But that's what putting kids on the deed, that's what you get when you do that kind of thing. So don't do that. There are other options. Now, I will say this. When we're confronted with a situation, and it's not uncommon, but when you are tenants in common, it's not uncommon. Anyway, when you're confronted with a situation where people have done things which are really not a good idea, in other words, you would never do that. Okay, you would never set it up this way, but it's already been set up this way. And, we've had 5 years go by, so we're not, we're not worried about there being a divestment issue for Medicaid. Okay, let's say that that's the case also. So now mom would qualify immediately for Medicaid, and now I don't have to worry about enhanced estate recovery, which I believe is coming. I don't have to worry about that. The house is already to the boys. Yeah, they might fight with each other, but at least I'm not losing everything. So you might look at that situation and say, look, it's not the best solution, but it's a better solution than we could come up with in the moment. So let's say you've got 3. Let's say it's this family. You got 2 brothers and a sister. Sister's on Medicaid. Mom's in the nursing home. She's about to be broke, about to go on Medicaid. Would we put mom on the Medicaid? Would we deed the house out to the kids at this point? No. Would we sell the house? No. Okay. There are things that can be done to preserve as much of the value of the house as possible, right? Without going broke. When mom goes broke, to keep some of the value of the house. Okay. So if you're in that situation where someone's going into long-term care and they haven't done a plan, you're not dead in the water. You're not out of luck. There's still things, very effective things you can do to preserve a significant part, at least half, and probably if it's a house, preserve more than that. We always figure half the cash plus the house and the car. I mean, you can preserve that. There's ways to do it. Now, they're not going to tell you how to do it, but there are ways to do it. Legitimate and reported and everything else. So then the question becomes, what are we going to do if they've already done something which guarantees, right, that the house? Now, I'm laying the groundwork for a fight. These brothers are going to fight with each other. It's not going to be pleasant, probably, right? But would I give up the protection I've already got in order to avoid that problem? And the answer is no, I wouldn't. Even if the brothers were willing to sign off, because once mom has done the deed, brothers don't get to decide. I mean, mom doesn't get to decide later on, oh, I want a do-over. Ollie, oxen free. Forget about that deed. That deed's real. That deed exists. All right. Mom has no option now. But my point is, not only does mom have no option, it would not be a good idea, in my opinion, would not be a good idea to unravel it if you could. So even if you could unravel it, wouldn't be a good idea. Don't advise it. Okay. So in a situation like this, where we get the two brothers, we're going to leave them on there. We understand that in the future, because they don't like each other, it's going to be a problem. But better that problem than to lose the house, than to put the house at risk. So, we don't always get what we want, but we always work to the best advantage possible. And even if, like I say, in a situation like this, it may not even be possible to undo it, simply because mom deeded the house to the boys, and the boys get it. That's just the way it is. So 616-774-2424. If you have a question, comment, or concern, we'll get it right on the air for you. Or you can drop me an email, david@davidcarrierlaw.com. Also, I have to say, we are doing those life plan workshops again, complete with oatmeal raisin cookies. That is right. So I'd love to see you at a workshop. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. Welcome back to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney. And someone who enjoys music that is so much cooler than he is. It's not even funny. Well, that's the way it is. Way of the world, huh? Let's see what else we got. Just another in the grab bag of wonderful emails. Father being discharged from skilled nursing facility, lives alone in his own home and has financial limitations. Father has Medicare supplemental plan, unable to perform any ADLs without assistance. What the hell is he going home for? How does this make any sense? He needs help with ambulation with walker. I guess that means transferring. He has memory loss, short and long, and will need full-time care. Huh? They want a discharge, but will have to pay a long-term care facility out of pocket until Medicaid app completed and accepted. Cannot go home alone due to safety aspects of it all. That isn't true. He has financial limitations, cannot afford to pay for care needed. We were planning on PACE program, but it won't take effect. Medicaid accepted. They want to put him in another wing that's a long-term care. We're told we'd be responsibility until Medicaid is paid, and then he'd have to turn in his Social Security. Well, that's true. He's got to turn in Social Security income and pension. He owns his own home. What are his rights under these conditions? Well, I would, who knows what kind of estate planning he's got in place. Let's assume he doesn't. But they can't just kick you out. I mean, if you're in a skilled nursing facility, and it sounds like Dad's needs are, he needs a skilled nursing facility. I don't know how you're going to qualify for PACE if you can't do any of the ADLs, the activities of daily life. You're not gonna. Okay, PACE is what would you say? If all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. You ever hear that one? I love that. Because it just indicates how limited we are thinking about things so often. But if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. Well, if all you had was skilled nursing facility, then everybody looks like a skilled nursing facility patient. Okay? But that isn't true. that isn't true. I mean, there's other things besides nails. There's screws, for example, and those Torx things and all kinds of other stuff. All right. So you can't go hammering everything you want to hammer on. It doesn't work like that. Now, the thing is with skilled nursing and with PACE, PACE is there because if all you had, and this was true, in many places it still is true, the only assistance you have is a skilled nursing facility. Well, a skilled nursing facility, that's the highest range. What if somebody is competent, mentally competent, and they've got some issues, but they could still be at home? Why would I want to put that person in a skilled nursing, in a SNF, a SNF, a skilled nursing facility? The answer is I wouldn't. But until PACE, which actually got started back in the 60s. But anyway, the PACE program and waiver, that's another Medicaid program, they both say, no, you can stay at home if you're safe at home. But if you can't do any ADLs, right? And you can't even transfer yourself, I mean, you're not safe at home. You're not going to qualify for PACE. So faithful listeners know I'm a huge fan of PACE. I love PACE. PACE is the answer for so many families because it supplies the interim, that stopgap. It's like you're not bedridden. You're not in a wheelchair. Okay. You know who you are, where you are. You'd like to have, maximize your quality of life. Sure. Why not? That's what PACE is for. Okay. Sometimes, though, many times, you need the services of a skilled nursing facility. And if that's what you need, then that's what you need. Based on this explanation, it sure seems like that's what he needs. That's what your old dad needs. He needs the Medicaid. Now, about paying for it. Once the Medicare runs out, so dad goes in, let's assume that dad went in here on Medicare, that there was a 911 call, right? Dad went into rehab, and that's why he's in the SNF right now, the SNF, the skilled nursing facility. All right. I mean, like memory loss, long and short term. I mean, who's going to put him home? I mean, no, it makes no sense unless you've got a supportive family. Because and here's the other thing, when you look at is somebody safe at home, you take into account, PACE will take into account family support. Okay, so just because you have somebody who really is challenged, if you got a really robust family support system, well, PACE then can be used in that context. Okay, so I don't want to be gloom and doom on that. But anyway, let's say he's going to stay in the skilled nursing facility. And now they're saying, oh, you guys got to pay. Well, no, you guys don't got to pay. Because number one, they can't kick him out without going through a whole Michigas process, which they always lose anyway, or usually do, for failure to pay. And in the meantime, you're getting him qualified for the Medicaid. Now, here's how you do that. Let's say we're in November. This is the month of November. Let's say dad has no more money. And he hasn't given away anything in the last 5 years or painted his freaking house. Okay, so let's assume that. So dad would be eligible for Medicaid in the month of November. But here's the deal. When you apply for Medicaid, they want to audit you, sometimes for as long as 5 years. We've gone through a few of those recently. I mean, and they look for, give me the bank statements, what did you spend this money on? What is the ATM for? Okay, fine. So let's say dad is eligible, is financially eligible in the month of November. And they're saying, oh, we're going to kick him out if you don't pay. If you pay, Medicaid will never pay. If you're the ones who pay the nursing home, Medicaid will never pay. But you can apply retroactively. So he's in the facility. This doesn't work with PACE or the waiver programs. This is just for traditional skilled nursing. Okay. So dad goes in November, he stays in. You owe money for November and December and January. And then in March, say St. Patrick's Day, you finally get around to submitting the application. That's okay, because Medicaid will go retroactive to November. All right, you get 3 months of retroactive plus the month of application. That's 4 months to get all your paperwork pulled together, to get everything done. And you have to keep dad on the Medicaid eligible throughout that period of time. You say, but wait a second, dad has some other medical bills. I say, that's fine too. The program, the PME, PME, pre-existing medical expense. Dad already has $10,000 worth of pre-existing medical expense, and he didn't qualify in November. Okay. And then, but we got him qualified, financially qualified in December. All right. Now we go to what comes after March, April. So we can apply on April 15th and file the taxes, file that Medicaid application. That'd be no problem. You've been listening to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney.